Since we are taping this, so that it can be viewed, it would be good to give a little bit of the background about how we came about to this meeting.
Point of order.
And so,
Point of order.
I'm sorry,
We need to take minutes.
Maureen is,
You are.
yes, she is.
Unless you'd like to.
No. Making sure.
And I don't either.
No. We thought we'd give Mary a vacation. She does a lot of minutes now. She's getting good at it, too. But anyway, back in December, both boards, the Friends of the COA and then the COA board, had a visitor at their meetings, Paul Lavella, a retired selectman. And he spoke to us essentially about the whole space issue, and that we all are very concerned about. I think that's a fair statement. I hope I'm not putting words in anyone's mouth. And he actually kind of lit a fire, I know, for the COA board, and I think for the Friends too. I haven't heard that terminology, but I hope you agree with that. So he kind of, spoke to us about, okay, where are you going? What are your strategies? Do you have any plans? Look at what the library people did and how they, organized themselves and went after what they wanted. Not that they haven't gotten there totally yet, but you know what? We can learn. Why reinvent the wheel? And we can learn from other people's efforts. So essentially what happened at our COA board meeting, which was the second meeting, a few friends were there, and we thought it would be a good idea, since we are the two organized groups in the town of Littleton whose job it is to advocate for seniors. And so we thought we should come together and brainstorm and try to figure out maybe a strategy, maybe set. I think I have some of Paul's words here. He suggested that we develop a coherent strategy, that we create a vision. And he said, is it the DCU Senior Center? DCU is the senior center. Is it, where do the town administrator's offices come into this? Do we have a timeline? When do we want to see this have a finished objective, at least, so we have some goals and some organized thinking about this? So, we all agreed at the COA board meeting, the friends that were there agreed that it would be a good idea to get together. So, here we are. And it's really I perceive this as a brainstorming session about space. The structure and what the space is going to be is important. But more important right now is to come together and say, okay, when do we visualize having more space for seniors? And then we have to figure out, okay, what's the best way to go and what kind of spaces are going to have to be? Because there's a lot of factors that we have to research, really. I mean, we know we have all that data about the population expansion. We have all kinds of, I've been on the web myself this week looking at all kinds of things. So I would like to suggest that maybe we take Paul's advice and today even talk about, okay, what is our vision? Do we see having permanent space in 10 years for seniors? A senior center. And then how do we go? And we know David has a lot of experience from the library. And if you recall, we changed the date of our meeting to today so that he could be here, particularly David. David could be here because he does have some experience on how the group put things together and proceeded. So I will open it up to people, and I have no set agenda as to, where we go, and I think we just need to brainstorm. All right, we all agree on that.
Yes.
We want space for seniors. And, but let me just, since we have a few very prominent guests here today, but I just have to share with you something that happened just yesterday with me. And it was significant in my mind because I was in the assessor's office, their temporary office in room 103 yesterday, and as I was standing there waiting for something, there was a lady with I think it was the head assessor. Anyway, and she was commenting on things, and she said something about, oh, they have a nice senior center, and my ears, perked up, and I turned and I said to her, and I don't know who this individual was, but she was a resident of town. And I said, oh, who has a nice senior center? And she said, oh, Dennisport. I said, oh, that's nice. And so, anyway, and I said, well, I elaborated a little, and I said, we're just interested, and we need a senior center here in town, and it's one of the things that we are looking at, and da-da-da-da-da. And she said, I'm not worried about a senior center. Trust me. I'm worried about being able to stay in Littleton.
That's true.
And so I mentioned it because Anna Houston's here from the planning board too. And the housing is the other big issue for seniors. But it just came right out of her mouth. Her priority was not even the senior center and space for that. It was staying in town and having housing and being able to afford to stay in town.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a little aside from everything because it just hit home with me yesterday.
Yeah.
So
It's
the two issues are things that both the Friends and the COA need to pay attention to. So, but today we're here really about space for seniors.
I think that people ought to understand too about us all, because I got a call from a senior who said the Council on Aging, excuse me, everybody, isn't doing anything for me because I cannot afford to live here anymore. Can't they talk to somebody about this? So, thank you. So, there we go. There's another, thank you. Oh, I love all this getting weighted on. Anyway, yes, it's not just one person.
No,
It's
it isn't.
many saying this.
Many, many people.
Including us, some of us who say, can I stay here? Can I afford to stay here?
I'm not sure I can.
So that's one point. And of course, giving the seniors a place that they could go to for many, many things to do, to socialize, to do exercise, to do crafts, to read books, whatever it may be. So we're kind of, you might say, caught. We don't know what to do first. Well, we need to help our seniors.
Yeah.
So I do have something to say. I wonder how many selectmen have gone to any other senior centers at all. Any. We have quite a few. In fact, every town has a senior center, a real senior center. I wonder how many they have gone to. Even the worst ones are much better than we have, because there is no such thing as a worst one. And I just realized last week, and I told this to Barbara McCrae, we don't have any space. I mean, we say at times we have 2 rooms. We don't. We have an Elder and Human Services office, director, social workers, Elder and Human Services. The rooms that we have available to us are shared with others, Elder and Human Services. Sometimes Park and Rec gets involved. The only thing we have is the thrift shop, the Friends Board, and the Council on Aging Board. That is the only thing that we have as a group. We don't have any space for ourselves.
I also mentioned yesterday that if we closed the thrift shop, that would take away part of the Council on Aging. It would take away even social time, because that's where people are coming, even for that. So without that, what time would they have on the second floor? Because they wouldn't be on the second floor for anything else.
Plus, in my understanding is, the Friends are the fundraising group to support seniors.
Right.
And the thrift shop is a very successful fundraiser, if I'm not mistaken. I think so that's a very important thing to remember.
Well,
too.
it saves us from begging on the streets.
That's true. And maybe we need to think about doing more of that now, to get money for a building for a senior center, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not promoting that. But obviously, money is a factor, and we all know that. And that's another reason we're here today to try to put together some kind of a thought process anyway about things.
Well,
Andy?
First thing comes to mind, I think we need a experienced leader, somebody like Paul Lavella who can develop plans and help us along, because I don't think, at least on our friends, other than Barbara and so forth, we're just organizing luncheons and so forth and parties and whatnot, and our
Well, we are
expertise
working
is
on
not
other stuff.
in the initial, go get a new center. But I do, in my thinking, I was also thought that the town should recognize this also, because if you come to the schools, I think every school is a good school. And you come to the police station, you come to the police station, this is a very nice station, this room is great. Okay, and you go to the fire station, that's great. You know, we go down the line, the library is functional. I know they're looking to expand, that's good, but it's functional. But then you walk down the building a little bit and you say, where's the senior center? And, you know, if you can find it, you'll see that there's only a couple of rooms where you have to, have our dinners, and Wednesdays only, 'cause that's the only room that's available. And today, I had lunch there, but I was kicked out because the big old ladies came in. And,
That's true.
and I'm saying it's, if you go up and take a look at it, it's very embarrassing to compare it to all the other facilities in town, that what we have.
Yeah.
So I think we're doing a good thing, but I think
We need to do more.
we need some help
Well-
to get us going.
But let me just say too,
Yeah.
that, we need to remember that we have a director of Elder and Human Services.
Yes.
And the director of Elder Services can help us be, and can be a leader, I think.
Yeah.
And she is due back. So
Okay.
we've been without her for a while, but my understanding is she's due back, so. And she would be a key player, obviously, and part of the reason we're taping this is so that she can be up to date when she does come back, and she'll be able to see what we've been talking about today, so.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary, Patty.
Patty Hunt. Listening to everybody, everything is true. We're in a little corner of a building, little or no space. Right now, the senior population is about 1,700 seniors, 60 plus in town. We don't service them all, but we service a high majority of them. And everybody in the town hall needs space. That's all we're hearing, everybody needs space. But we're advocating for a large population of people who are needy and need space, and we provide a lot of service. And we need a plan. Well, there is a preliminary plan. The Space Subcommittee of the Council of Aging did meet last May, and in June, we passed out to the board, a plan, a wish list, which I would like to pass out again, because I don't think the Friends have it. And it includes in the packet, which we presented at the board in June, our wish list of what we need, what we propose we need. Sure, I'll take one. I don't know, there might be some for the back down there.
You get one?
Are there enough?
It's a start
Yeah.
of at least an idea.
They got them.
Also included in that packet
Would you like a coffee?
is
Or
a
two? Or three?
design consideration for senior centers
Everybody
From
have a
the
pocket?
department.
Okay.
of elder
Yes.
affairs. It's a guide, but it's a beginning. It gives us something to go by. So when we take the next steps that Marge is talking about, we have something in hand. It can certainly be enhanced. But people can't say to us, you don't know what you want. We do know what we want. And it's a good beginning. It is. I wanted to bring this because it's great talking points.
You're right, perfect.
And I went back and looked at the needs assessment that was done a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And by 2020 in the town of Littleton, the anticipated senior population could be as high as 2,500 seniors. This is now 2019. We can't sit on our laurels much longer in Littleton and do nothing for the seniors. It's not possible. And space is critical for the seniors. And our town officials can't sit back any longer and ignore us. We have to become more vocal. We have to get businesses behind us. We have to get our representatives behind us. And we have to get the seniors at home coming out to support us.
Exactly.
That's my say. If I
Good
was a
girl.
little
Good
more-
Thank you, Patty. I'm glad you did bring that with you.
Yes.
So, and speaking of that, one of the items I'm sorry, go ahead,
That's okay.
Sharon.
No,
No, go ahead.
Go, finish what you're saying.
Well, I was just gonna say, she was talking about, I have no idea what this means, but Anthony wouldn't understand it much better, and Chuck and probably others, but I came across I was looking at different things, in different towns, and in North Reading, there's a posting which has just been made in December, something about, they received a preliminary approval of a $10 million state bond funding for a senior center. I don't know what that means, and preliminary, who knows what that means. But I thought, that's interesting,
know.
I didn't think there was any way, and it was the representatives, I guess the town worked with the representatives, and the representatives went to work to try to get some money. So, and again, I don't know what it means, I'm not that knowledgeable, yes.
Beverly Regoli Mill Lane.
Hi, Bev.
I'm wondering if we're going to get a seniors center soon, because I'm tired of going to all of the surrounding beautiful senior centers. And I'm going to be 75, and I want a senior center before I die. And I will do whatever you tell us to do. I'll go out and get names. Or 6 months ago, I went over to the shopping mall and asked them if they had any specific empty places they could rent to us. And Barbara and I talked about that, but we would have to pay for it. And does the town have any land that the town owns that will give us land to build a senior center? Nobody seems to know. But this is what I would like soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're not alone, I don't think, with that.
No.
No, but Sharon, you've had your hand raised for a while now.
It's okay, it's okay. I just want to vent,
Okay,
okay?
that's what we're here for. We're here to brainstorm and
Good.
talk and,
Because I've lived here for 40 years. I have, in my taxes, I have paid for a new high school. I have paid for renovations to the other schools. I've paid for all these new fields. I've paid for the police station, the fire station, the highway department, the electric light department. I've seen all these people getting things out of my taxes. And I don't see that the town has done anything with my taxes for us seniors. This is 40 years we've been paying and paying and paying, and especially this year where everyone, has been hit royally with their taxes. And you go to the assessors and take an abatement form, but, good luck to you. And there's never a discount for a senior. We don't have children in the school system. We're not using the fields. We're not using the schools. There should be some appropriation. And now that we're, trying to, they've set up a volunteer so that we can have some money taken off our taxes, however, whatever we're gonna make, is only gonna pay for maybe half of what we've been increased in our taxes this year. So I just feel that the town has let us down, and I think we need to just go to them and say, hey, we're us, and we need something now. You all have it, it's our turn.
Yeah, it's the typical, what we've been doing at the studio is the don't forget we're here. And we mean the seniors. We mean, don't forget we're here, you know?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what people are thinking, you know, what we're worth. And certainly, you were talking about paying all those taxes. We've all been supporting our town for many years.
Absolutely.
With us even 40 years, I'm sure. And, you know, it's hard for me to hear, like, even Bev came to me the other day and she said, did you see Acton's Senior Center? It's beautiful. I signed up, which really upsets me because people from our town tell me they're going to Westford. Oh, love their senior center. I'm over there all the time. And people that we're close to, we know, go over there.
Yep.
And then now I hear, well, Acton's so wonderful, I'm going over there. So it just makes me feel like, you know, I've said it before, we're at the bottom of that totem pole. And I don't understand because Sharon, you're talking 40 years, but do you remember, or could you tell us how many years we've been sitting on boards trying to get this done?
Forever. Forever. We've gone to all the boards. We've hit them all. And like with Anna, I said, you know, she was talking about the video you made.
Right.
I said, we made that a year ago. I said, and nothing's been done for us.
I think it was more than a year.
So here we go. I mean, it's time for us.
We just talked.
And, you know, we say that we volunteer for the seniors, we do this and we do that. We are seniors. It's us.
Maybe it's
It's
you.
affecting us, and we need space. I mean, I have been in the COA doing whatever projects, and I've seen the little Mahjong group sitting outside in the hallway at a card table because there was no room at the inn for them.
Right.
Every room was utilized. And this is the problem. We have trouble scheduling rooms, and where do you go?
Well, consequently, those programs get smaller and smaller because the people don't want to come and do
Well,
that.
that's it. And it's not beautiful. It's not inviting. It's not warm and friendly. You know, you need a nice cozy space. You need brightness and
We'll
cheerfulness.
take them all home.
Yeah.
But, no, it's like, you know, recently I've been saying things like, I'm so tired. I just am tired. Another problem, though, is that we do need to get senior population helping us.
I'm bored with this. Yep.
Because the same faces keep coming out and going to the boards and saying, we need. I'm sure that by now, if somebody sees me coming to a board to ask for this, it's like, oh, here she comes again, and it's her. It's not me. It's not even for me anymore. You know? So they need to come out, the seniors themselves. We need to prove.
That's a fact. And when I go to the Littleton Housing Authority meetings once a month on Shattuck Street as a representative of the Council of Aging, they're griping because Shattuck Street, which was built in 1980, is old and dilapidated and needs to be replaced. Talk about senior housing. I say to them, but you have to come out and support us. But they know it's futile, so they won't come. So that lady who said to you, she doesn't care about a senior center. She's caring about housing. You know, that's why I'm showing up at planning boards, making a pain of myself on senior housing. But we can gripe up the yin-yang. But if we have a plan similar to something like this, and we perfect it, and then take our next step to the board, the planning board, or the assessors, or whoever we have to take it to, they're gonna have to be serious when they say no to us, because then we're gonna have the next step say, all right, what's our appeal process? What do we do now? How can you say no to us now? This is legitimate.
And there's data out there really to support it.
There is.
And the data is shocking in a way. I mean, I contacted Emmett at the Department of Elder Affairs just this past week, and he, you know, sent me an email with some very interesting data about where Littleton ranks, actually, as far as the number of seniors goes. But we're talking about many issues here in my mind. I mean, we have to educate. Yes, people are saying they're tired of it, but we still have to get information out to them so they understand the significance of it too. I think I can share the data, but I don't know that, and I will share it with Anthony, later, what Emmett just sent me. But so what is our plan? How do we want to somehow come to, what do we want to do next? And I think we all agree it's a dire need. It is embarrassing for the town of Littleton, quite frankly, that we don't have better accommodations for seniors. So, yes, Nancy?
Remember a few years ago, when the people in the town were looking to get the artificial turf for the football field? And the statement was, it's an embarrassing for other towns to come and play football on our field. What about us coming to our senior center? We have a sign outside that says Council on Aging. There is no special room. There is none.
Now,
And also, in looking for a senior center, I don't think it would work to have a community center, and I'll tell you why. According to Emmett Marzel, the other community centers in the state of Massachusetts have not been working. They have 3, maybe 4, and the others are failing because whoever they share the senior center with, they're taking over. The seniors are pushed aside. And this is happening everywhere. Now, the other thing too is there is talk about the DCU building. I don't want to wait 20 years. I don't want to wait 10 years. I might not be alive then. I might be alive in 5 years. So I would like us to pursue looking into the DCU building. It is for sale. The price is reasonable compared to building a new one. And I think we should have a tour to see what it looks like inside. From what I understand from Barbara and others who have been there, the first floor is huge, it's gorgeous. The second floor could house maybe some of the town offices, but maybe not. I don't want to wait, and I think it was Barbara that said, if it doesn't work out, we can always sell it. We'll have a building to sell, so we can get something bigger. But, so what we're doing today, I think, is absolutely great. We are brainstorming, and I would like to have more of you speak up and talk.
I do want to mention one more thing, because Kirby is here, and that is Kirby and I also went to different senior centers to check them out, to see what they were like, and also listen about community center. And we went to Lexington, they have one. I talked to somebody from there, it is not working out. So we do have a film that shows what we've got. We don't have it anymore?
We never produced it, Barbara, because it was supposed to have some additional.
We have the tape,
We have
the
footage,
film,
yeah.
right? Or they don't call it film anymore, whatever. I'm really old, I'm sorry. Anyway, I'd like to do something with that too, to show, so people can see for themselves what we've got, what we don't have.
We don't have.
Yes, that is a good idea, I think. You could, if you had film of all the, Chelmsford, Westford, Acton, all the ones that people say, these are great centers. And then show Littleton, there's a comparison, then you can compare, apples to apples, and what other towns have.
That's good.
But when you mentioned that, it's interesting though, I stumbled across some documents and some work that Temple University, that's a pretty well-known school, has done a lot of work on the whole concept of 2 concepts. One was intergenerational living, housing. You know, and that's a very big, and then, actually, that lady that was at the assessor's office yesterday said intergenerational housing is something I'd be interested in, though. Not a community center, but a housing. And that's an interesting concept, and they've done a lot of, they had some grants given to them, and they've done a lot of research on it. You can find it online. It's like 200 and odd pages. But, you know, so I thought, well, I think I better go to the library before I'm going to try to print this. So there's a lot of thinking out there, and some of that intergenerational type of thing, or working together. I understand, I heard the same thing. It's management. If you have something like that, the management of it is difficult, but that doesn't mean that you can't figure out a way to manage differently, I guess, but anyway. So Bev's got her hand up again. Right.
Yes, I do.
All right, Maureen's after Bev.
Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking about that several years ago too, when I broke my leg. And I said, gee, what about if we could get Emerson or one of the big hospitals to open up so that not only do you have a servicing, but you have a servicing for all of our health problems that we're coming up against at this age. So maybe they would like to merge with us and have a health center and have a senior center right next door. But you would need a grant for that or something, and that didn't work out either.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maureen.
Thank you. First, do you have the number of seniors for 2025?
Oh, the
The
projections?
projection?
I haven't.
We have 1,700 now.
For 2020, about 2,700, and
20.
2030, 3,700.
Okay. So let's split the difference between the 27 and the 37.
10 years.
Right, we'll split that difference and say we've got 32. So if we have 3,200 seniors times 6 feet, which is what they project we should have, 6 square feet, means that we need 19,200 square feet.
And even that I don't think is adequate. That's another thing Emmett shared with me. There's not one senior facility in the state
That's adequate.
that's adequate. They're all too small. And they
Okay.
have finding that out now. It's, you know, it's unreal. It's out of control. So,
Well, that's
so-
why when you look at these proposals, you have to project.
right.
I agree.
You know, you have to project. And even taking the rooms that we proposed here, you know, you need to look at them, and we would have to have somebody who has expertise in figuring out space. I don't do that, that's not my expertise. I can do
In
a
fact,
lot of things, but I'm not gonna be
If you want to go back to
So-
those, go ahead,
doing that.
finish. and
So,
then I'll add.
yeah,
Somebody
I'm
would
trying to
have
finish.
to really do that and then figure out the space we need. I don't know the size of the DCU. I mean, it looks big, but when it's empty, it always looks big. But when you cubby up all the little cubby holes in rooms, is it really big? That's another story.
I think it's gonna
But
be big
that-
enough.
that's-
It's big enough for now.
Trust me,
A lot
it's
bigger.
bigger than what we've
Yeah.
got.
That's part of the plan.
So-
That's part of a step.
Yep.
The step would be to take this proposal, enhance it, figure out what the square footage of this would be. Is there a building available or not available? Is the town hall a possibility or not?
Just to mention in the DCU building, it's approximately 20,000 square feet, and about 5,000 square feet is occupied by a tenant for the next 3 years at that location.
Did you get that, Maureen?
Square feet, 20,000 square feet, and 5,000 is occupied for the next 3 years?
By a tenant, yes.
Unless we find them something.
Right, you can.
So, you know, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
The 15,000 would be a good start.
Right, 15,000 would be a good start.
Well, I think
So-
that takes us to the determination. You know,
Right.
Do we want to?
Do we have enough space to even start looking? And yes, we do.
If, in that setting, if, you know, and then, with the knowledge that it's not going to be adequate in a very short period of time.
Right, in 10 years, it's
So
not
you
going to be
have to,
adequate.
no. It's not,
So-
according to all the projections about the increase in the population, and speaking of that, it's also projected that the number of school-age children in this town are going to be decreasing.
Decreasing.
So,
exactly.
that's a state projection, it's nothing.
Okay,
new.
so here's a couple of thoughts. I think it's great that we vent, and I think that it's great that we get our feelings and our thoughts out on the table. But I think that we also have to have a plan.
Right.
So, number one, I think, is if in fact there is money, or maybe money, that the state representatives can get their hands on, then I think that we should invite them to a COA board meeting. I think if we invite them to a board meeting and we explain where we are, and we explain what we think we need, and we get a real price, and I'm sure, Anthony, do you actually have a real price for DCU? 2 mil?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what the price is. So if in fact we could get that money, then we could approach the town and the selectmen and see about how we could get some more money to do the renovations or the changing of it, or how we.
Well, there's no kitchen, for example, at the
Right,
DCU.
I mean,
Yeah.
there will be things that
Oh,
will
yeah.
need to happen.
Yep.
But at least if we have a building with the adequate space for the next maybe 8 years, then it's worth investing to see if we can get our hands on this money.
True, and if we don't do it now, when we wait 8 years for,
It's gonna be-
a
it's-
bigger building, because we need a bigger building, because there's more seniors, then when we get to that point, they're gonna tell us we need a bigger building, because now the
Right.
seniors are that much. So
But
you
I think-
need to have a start, and I say we start by getting us something now, even if it is only for the amount of seniors here now, or a few more. And 8 years is a long time for us to be able to be using a place.
8 years, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I might not be here in 8 years.
That's right.
So, I mean, really, the
Nobody knows.
reality is, we don't know if we're gonna be here.
Yeah,
So
look
if
around
we
the
have,
table.
if we have the ability to use something for the next, God only knows.
We're
God
actually
only knows.
doing this for the younger seniors anyway.
That's
Right.
right. And we may not even be able to
So,
live here.
I
at
think
the
it's-
way-
Well, that's the,
Right.
that's the
Well,
number.
that's a problem.
See,
That's a
that's the
problem that's
number
gonna
I'm
have to
thinking
be
of.
addressed.
Yeah.
We're saying there's going to be this many seniors in Littleton, but if they keep complaining they can't stay here, we could have 5 left.
Well, so here's the deal. I think that we need to have a plan of how we're going to do this now.
Yes.
And I think the first thing is, we need to get the funding. And if in fact we can get the funding from the state, and it doesn't have to come from the town,
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know, I don't
I
either.
have no clue.
But if in fact you can, even if we could get half of it, we would still be better off than where we are now. I can't see what's going on behind me.
We need a more definitive
I'm
plan,
looking
though.
at selectmen, I'm looking at our assistant town or our town manager, I'm looking at FinCom. I'm
Where's
with this
housing?
big question mark over my head.
But the reality is, if we don't
Anna.
start doing something,
Yes.
we're not gonna get anywhere.
But we
It's
need a
great to-
more definitive plan. This is just a proposal. We really need to have a plan if you're
So
going
maybe
to
what we
apply for
do-
funding.
So maybe what we do is look to see if there's someone in the town who would be willing to work with us, either for ZIP, God help us please, or for a reasonable cost.
Or
Can
even
we-
part of that one.
Can we come
Yeah.
together maybe, or come up with some ideas as to, we're saying we would like to have something in place within 5 years, now 10 years is out, 30 years is like really long-range planning.
No, I
What,
think we need to do it now.
so within, 2 years, I mean, I think if we set a time frame for ourselves too, that would help us start to crystallize our thinking a little bit maybe.
If, in fact, we were going to go with the DCU building, and that's a big if, but if we were going to go with the building is built. It just needs renovations. However, what renovations we determine
Would be
that we
possible,
might,
given
right, that we
this-
might need. But the building is actually built,
Good, right.
so
It's not gonna stay
we
there 5
could-
years waiting for us.
right, so we could, within a year, maybe, be ready to go into it. I think that that's a reasonable thing to look at.
I would like to have this proposed at, to come to some conclusion and have this voted on at town meeting. I mean, when she's talking about now, I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about next year, 5 years, I'm talking about now. And I would like to hear what the
How do we get
library
something on a
consultant
warrant?
has to say.
I know,
David,
David.
you're on the
I'm
spot.
sorry.
David.
I was looking
I would
something
like to know what David has to say, since you have some knowledge.
regarding,
How you get started.
oh, well, the first question I wanted to ask was, you heard about North Reading, all right?
No.
That was it was on their website. They were kind of posting it, bragging about it, I guess, a little bit, you know, that whole thing, and I don't know anything about it, other than I came across it when I was looking under, I think I was looking at, I forget what, whether it was just council, senior centers, or it was, intergenerational community centers. I looked up both online in the state to see what was around.
What is it about?
So it was the funding that they got,
Oh, the funding,
that I
10 million.
mentioned.
North Reading.
I have no idea
So
what.
how did they do it?
Okay, a grant,
It was a bond.
a bond was given, or something was
It
given.
was bond funding, and it was a
$10 million.
preliminary, and that could mean anything. Who knows what that means in the state? But it said preliminary approval of $10 million state bond funding for a senior center, and it was promoted because they worked with their representatives. 2 representatives were mentioned in the,
Okay,
it was
so-
a published article about it.
So it would be interesting if we could find out what that meant, or what it means. or
I
if
don't,
it-
Anthony would
think-
know probably.
I'll inquire about it.
Okay.
I think Maureen is right, where we should invite our representative to come to a board meeting and answer these kinds of questions,
I mean,
because
is there money available? They should know,
I
in the
searched-
state of Massachusetts, if there is money available.
He has a big surplus in the state of Massachusetts.
There is at the moment, so I'm reading. But if in fact there is money, can we apply for it? And if we can apply for it, how do we apply for it?
Well, I know, that's why I was under
mean-
the state, and I was lurking to see, is there anything out there, and I couldn't come
Is
up with
there any
anything.
reason why we can't invite them? I mean, it's obviously,
Arciero and Jamie?
right, but is there, I think, to try and
Jim,
fit into
Jamie.
their schedule for next Monday might be cutting it close, but,
I think so.
but I mean, we could maybe invite them to the February meeting.
And give them an idea of what we're
Right,
concerned about.
tell them what we're looking for,
So they
ask
can
them
do
to
some
do the
research.
research so
We
that when
can
they
certainly
come.
explore that, why not?
And David, what else do you have
Yep.
to say?
Well, I went to the CO, there's actually a Council on Aging sort of a website. If you go to.
National Council on Aging?
Well, if you go to the state websites and just start searching around, okay, I tried to find it, I think I might have it on my tablet at home, but I don't have it on my phone, so I can't really speak to it. But there was a lot of information, not as much as I wanted to see about Council on Aging's, okay, and the way that they're set up and the way it's described by the state, what they are. and
Oh,
all
I
that.
can give you a website.
But somewhere deep in all that wording, I thought I read something about funding, okay, and I made a note of it, but I don't have it on my phone, and I can't remember exactly what it said, so, perhaps somebody else can also dig through there and see if they can find that, and I'll look for it too.
Can you
I-
send me the website that you were on?
Well, yeah, but I started with Councils on Aging. and
You
then,
didn't do national, just councils
All
on
of
aging.
them. I started looking through all of them until I found what the definition of the COA was and what the responsibilities were.
Pass that down to him.
It's pretty much laid out. I've seen that.
Do you know, Emmett, have you gone to that? Well, he is the contact person for us at the Department of Elder Affairs, and that's the Council on
Well,
Aging for the state.
somebody should contact this person.
I
Yes.
did,
I did, she's been
I
talking to
talked to him, I spent quite a long time on the phone with
he's
him.
very good about getting back to
Does he
us.
say that there's any kind of grants or funding, or?
He didn't have any knowledge of any, so, but he's a source of tremendous wealth of information.
All right,
And,
so-
uh,
To a meeting
So
also.
here's a question. Do we want, as a group, to invite the selectmen, the state representatives, to our February board meeting? I think we should take a vote.
Well, they
this is
often-
a joint meeting. Yes, Alan wants to say something. And he hasn't raised his hand at all yet, so.
Just in response to the
Maureen?
motion almost made here.
Right.
As far as I know, and we've looked, there are no grant funds available for senior centers in the state like you have for police stations and fire stations and schools, everything else except seniors. There are none. So inviting your state representatives in to ask them about funding,
It's useless.
when you already know there is no such animal, there, you know,
What's the point?
it might be a little early to do that. You might want to invite them in to help push you along and talk it up, whatever you intend to do. But I think it's a little early for having them in. The people you need to be pushing on right now are selectmen. Because that's where the money is really going to come from.
But the selectmen are looking
And
into it.
since you all got to just talking about all of the taxes you paid through the years, get all the seniors out and say, yes, raise my taxes, but at least you'll be doing something for me.
Well, that's true.
Because that's where the money has to come from, is the town.
Hey, yep.
So I guess the
Thank you,
question is.
thank you.
I guess the question is, speaking to the selectmen in the room, is there an adequate amount of money in the town to even approach DCU?
That's a loaded
The question
thing.
is, we can do anything we want if we have the votes. So if we, right now, there's $2.8 million in the capital stabilization fund. If we decide that we want to spend $2.8 million, or $2 million of that 2.8 to purchase the DCU building, we can allocate those funds, go to town meeting and vote for it. And then we own the building.
So it
And then
has
we
to
have
go on the warrant,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, there's not just an open checkbook. So
Right.
that is an option. And we've looked at this building, there's been a lot of communication with the guy whose name is on the sign, John McLaughlin. Barbara and Alan, myself, and Mr. Sanders went and toured the facility again a couple weeks ago, just before Christmas, just to kind of get a feel for the space. Patty mentioned that what's 20,000 square feet, more than you, what's 20,000 square feet look like? What does it feel like? Once we get in there and we start cutting out, this is where we would have a yoga room, and this is where we would have a cognitive center, and this is where we would have the diner. Could that all be done? Those are the kinds of things. We actually had a meeting last night with the OPM, who's the project manager for the Space Needs Group, to start looking at the numbers that we've already gotten from the needs study that we had done 3 years ago now, to tighten up those numbers and qualify those numbers. Okay, if Lieb said it's gonna cost us $7 million to renovate a commercial space that's already existing, is that real? You know, is it really $450 per square foot to renovate? Maybe we don't need that much because we're not putting up as many walls. So Vertex is the name of the company. They're going to try to tighten up those numbers for us. They're gonna start having conversations with architects with us for all of our space needs, of which a big part of it is the needs of the seniors. Okay, your original question. Is the funding available?
Is the funding available?
So if we go to town meeting and we ask for, let's say we determine that the DCU is absolutely the answer, we want this done within 3 years, we want to have parties at the new DCU senior center. If we came to a determination using our vendor and they said it's gonna be $7 million to buy it and renovate it and turnkey, we could go to town meeting and say, we need $7 million to do this project, like we did for any of the renovations of this building, the fire station, for alumni, for Russell Street, or the middle school, so on and so on. So once we come up with that number, we go for it. And if we have votes, we get it. which is the library's in line. As soon as the state says to the library trustees and to the town, okay, you're number one on the list right now, the funds have been allocated. Your clock is ticking. You have 6 months now to basically get your town to say, yes, we want this library and we want the state funding, so we're gonna put our skin in the game. So regardless of what we do, yeah, we can do it. There's gonna be an impact if we decide that we wanted to do a brand new campus and buy a piece of property and put up 3 new buildings. One's a senior center, one's a library, and one's a town offices with park and rec and everything else in it. Maybe that number is $45 million. We can do that. There's gonna be an override, there's gonna be an impact on our taxes. So it's all a matter of what we can tolerate. So what's in our checkbook right now versus what we can tolerate is not the same question. Is that, I'm not trying to
No,
double
no,
talk you, I'm just.
no, I'm hearing you.
We can,
As we're all complaining this week because we've all just gotten our tax bills.
myself included.
And the tax bills are ridiculous, in terms of seniors who are now saying, I don't think I can live in this town any longer. And that's gonna be a real problem. It's going to be a real problem. I mean, just for me personally, my taxes are going up $125 a month.
It's about mine, too.
So, I mean, for a lot of people, especially when you're looking at those of us who, you know, wait for that social security check to come in every month, it's going to be a problem.
Because they're not gonna up it.
Oh, no, I got a $55 raise. I got a raise.
Oh, well, I haven't gotten mine yet.
So I'm hearing clearly that the two needs are the space, senior center, and housing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the ideal answer to that, if we had a blank checkbook, or if we could do some sort of private-public partnership, the town of Dedham did something where they had a developer that wanted to put in some sort of housing. And they put in a beautiful apartment complex on a place that used to be an old florist, an old, they used to grow roses. And they put in a beautiful complex, and within that complex, they dedicated and built to the town's specifications, a senior center.
That
Which
happened in Tingsboro.
a lot of communities have done it, and
Yep.
it can be a win-win. It can also be as much of a challenge as if you do an intergenerational or multi-generational, whatever you want to call it, you're competing essentially for the space. Townsend is doing it, Randolph actually has done it pretty successfully, Lexington has done it pretty successfully, and I think Weston is the other community that's done it pretty successfully. To answer some of the questions about Nancy, whether or not we've visited any other towns, we have. We take it seriously, Nancy. When you say we're looking into it, we're not just, I'll speak for myself, we're not giving you lip service. And I know that some of the other members of the selectmen have gone around and have looked at other spaces as well. If we did do an integrated unit where we had housing, which met a lot of those needs, if somebody is in a home that's costing them X plus $125 per month, and they got to a point where I just can't do it anymore, but we had some other options available, whether they be garden style condos or maybe they're rentals, there might be some options for us to be able to do something like
But
that.
again, not in our lifetimes.
Not necessarily. This is where we, as the Board of Selectmen, are having conversations with the planning board, with the zoning board, to try to figure the whole thing out, as well as with PJ Bell was on the master plan. So it's not, there's no easy answers to it, because it all costs money. So if we can do a private-public partnership, which some of that was talked about with
Right.
the train station.
Yeah,
with,
I remember that.
Doug Shaw was coming before us and
Yep.
saying, we want to build something, we want to have retail out here, we want to do a parking garage or parking for the T, and have different stages of housing, essentially for seniors. We've had other developers that have come in who have said they want to do what's called a 40R project, which isn't necessarily geared towards seniors, but it's rental units that are along the state does have funds available if you do those types of, 40R is similar to a 40B, where you get relief from certain zoning, as long as it's along either a rail trail or a bus route, there's certain criteria that the state makes you.
The problem is that, just like right now, the Cooper property, those affordable houses are $600,000. I don't know how anybody can afford 600,000.
It's even higher than
So
that.
that's, the affordable component there is the percentage of those units that are being sold. A certain percentage has to be below the $187,000.
Yeah, 174.
174. So that's what qualifies that for the affordable.
A lot of people that are buying these things are not from Littleton.
Well, that's the catch-22. That's what's happening, though. It's unfortunate, I think, because you have people from wealthier communities who can
Downsizing.
afford it, are downsizing and coming here,
Littleton.
and the people that are here struggling to stay here, you know, are kind of getting squeezed. I think some of it is some of that, because there are people that are moving from, you know, Lincoln and more affluent towns and selling their bigger $1 million facility, you know, homes for, so, but anyway.
You have
it's-
to also hear that, and this is really sad, is that the town boards, who are supposedly taking care of all this, are the ones that people are getting angry with because they feel like they're the people easing us out because of raising this and doing that, but not helping us. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes we probably think, well, they're so young, what do they know? I mean, they don't think they're ever going to get old anyway, so, and maybe they have plans to move someplace else later. But it's the sad thing is that we're blaming those boards, people on those boards for not caring about us.
You know, another option.
I'm not talking about you.
No personal stuff.
Well, we can always do more. I mean, it's a volunteer position, we have our own families, and so
Right.
I feel guilty at times when I come to something like this. My mom lives in Dedham, that's how I know about Dedham. I know what goes on in the Dedham housing, you know, the Dedham Council on Aging, and the Housing Authority, unfortunately. But, so it means a lot to me.
Yeah.
So I do take it personally.
And
take
we
it
also want
seriously.
something good for the seniors, because we don't want to hear seniors who often say, I'm not going to that senior center because it's all old people. You know, you're looking at seniors who are young. I mean, we're old, but we're young.
It's because of all the exercise classes and everything. We're
And-
We're coloring our roots.
We're coloring our roots, yeah. But it's also, you know, a point where we want to show them that you've got healthy, young, old seniors to hang out with in a nice place.
We're not
You know?
talking about you, David.
Yeah, David and I are really young.
We're probably youngest here, I guess.
Probably.
You know, another thing that Emmett did suggest that
Still
you
over
could,
70, though.
some people have done, but you gotta do it wisely. Some areas, some towns apparently have built a senior center, but with land to allow for expansion as you go further ahead and you need more space. So that's how they have approached it.
If they have the
And-
land.
Yeah. Chuck?
There is a problem with that as well, though. If we, let's say I'm not trying to make anybody that loves tennis mad, but let's say we decide we're gonna build a standalone senior center on top of the tennis courts, and we're gonna put tennis courts over the back side of the the front side of the high school, behind the Weber
Right,
property where the
right.
doing something.
Yeah, let's talk about
That-
the tennis courts
so
here.
Let's say we're gonna do a standalone facility there, and it costs us $10 million, just to use a number, just pie in the sky, I have no idea. So it costs us $10 million to build that facility on that flat land, plenty of parking, and then in 15 years, we wanted to
Expand.
bump it out, do certain expansions or modifications to it. Until our note is paid off, we can't do anything to it. So once we bond this, there's restrictions on what we can do as far as renovations or expansions.
Well, that's what I said, you gotta be wise. He said, he cautioned it. He said
Yeah.
that is can be very risky. So, but it was something he mentioned. But he also mentioned a place that built, well, yeah, it's very complex. I mean, it is just a complex situation, but, no, because he was talking actually about a place that was, it was small and they didn't have fire sprinklers in it, you know? It's like, can you imagine doing that? I mean, that wasn't even wise, so, anyway. Yes, Sharon?
So Chuck just
Where are we
brought up
going on
the
time?
tennis courts in the new development that's being proposed. and I just spoke to Anna about it because I happened to be surfing through the channels, found that planning board meeting, heard them talking about tennis courts in the senior complex, and I'm just raving at this TV, and I'm saying, you're gonna build a tennis court. We need a senior center. We need another van.
A swimming pool for seniors.
Right.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
a tennis court. We have 2 tennis courts in town. There's no line waiting to use these tennis courts.
Ever.
They're sitting empty. I don't want an empty tennis court in this complex and the builder saying, oh, but I built that for you. We all have hip replacements, knee replacements, rotator cuff replacements. We're hard of hearing, we can hardly see. We don't want to play tennis, trust me.
God, I feel
Tennis
sick
court
all of a
is
sudden.
It's not my number one
Perhaps I should
priority.
have chosen a different site.
I know, I was trying to tell them we were young seniors, and now we're old. No, but you're right.
But
You're
that's
absolutely right.
right, I know I'm right.
But they say this tennis court is for the school.
That's right, that's adds insult to injury there.
Really?
Because you didn't listen closely enough. Those tennis courts weren't for the seniors, they were for the school. Because it's right behind the school, they walk right down there.
See, there's a give and a
Yeah.
take for
Yeah, but
everything, you know.
So we're sharing again.
That's it, I understand, but this tennis court is for your use. We don't want to use it.
But,
Build us something else, build us a senior
I mean,
center.
there is so much, you know, negotiation that can go on, I think, you know, and that's how that proposal that came back out by the train station there
Yes.
a year, 2 years ago now. You know, and that contractor, I think, is withdrawn and everything, but he also had, you know, a small senior center that was in that plan.
Yeah.
So then that goes back to the whole thing about, you know, getting a contractor that's willing to negotiate and the management of it and all that stuff, you know, and that's the kind of stuff that you could wait a long time for, too.
Yeah.
Depends
We
on-
have a place that seems doable for
Right.
this generation and maybe the
I think we should be
next.
able to look at it.
We
Well-
should continue to find a way, and I do want to remind people why the Friends are here in Littleton with the Council on Aging is because we are the fundraisers. And we have been
Successful.
stashing some money. When we talk about renovations, we have to know how much it costs, but we are stashing money we would have loved to have enough for a senior center, but if we can have enough for renovations, we're golden if we can get a building, or the building. And at the moment, this week, my board is going to receive another donation of a good sum, and then the end of January, we'll receive, I don't want to mention the amount right now, but it is substantial for our fund that we are keeping for a senior center. And we could do more.
Right, and your funding is all a matter of public record anyway, right?
Right,
So
exactly. But I haven't got that money yet, that's why you don't know.
Well,
the
no,
numbers.
and I can appreciate that, you're certainly not gonna say anything about it, but, you know, so if there is money there though, but maybe that would be helpful, and
Yes.
you've done a great job at fundraising, I think, there's no question about that. You know,
Is
the
it
Friends
possible
have.
for us to know how much is in the fund now?
I'm sorry?
Is it possible for us to know how much is in the fund?
Oh, yeah, over $200,000.
Great.
And it's growing, going to be growing
Good.
bigger,
Marge,
so.
Yes,
I'd like to just share something which I've heard here now, and I'm always been concerned about, and that is that we tend to be the 70-up seniors. And we have a group of seniors from 50 to 70 who have said all the things you said, I'm not coming to this because it doesn't, and so forth and so on. So even though I will never play tennis again in my life. I have two replaced knees and so forth. It is something that we do need to consider if we're talking about a senior center, not necessarily a tennis court, but what are we providing for those who are younger, who are coming into the senior world faster, and who want to be active and alive and more to the extent that I do before we...
An exercise room.
Because that's got to be a part of the whole picture.
Oh,
Otherwise, we're going to not have them, and they're going to go someplace else that does.
Oh, yeah, right. A fitness room, I think,
Is
should
what
be
they're
a
looking
staple,
for.
should be
I'm
a staple in
absolutely
the senior
amazed at the
center.
number of fitness places there are in town.
Right.
Every place I turn, I look around in the back of a shopping mall, and the side of this, and over there, there's another fitness center.
But we're cheaper.
And people must be paying for them because they're there.
Yeah.
And yet, I walked out of exercise yesterday at the senior center, bumped into a 50-year-old. I only know that because my old daughter's 50 now, and, she's about the same age. And she said, I'm trying to get my mother, she retired, and I'm trying to get her to go down and get some exercise. I'm like, tell her to call me, I'll take her, and we keep growing. That group grows, and we're up to the 20s now. I remember the days when it was 10 or 12 people all the time, and so we're often at 28 people.
Stretch and Flex isn't going to make it for those people
No.
50.
Well, no,
want
but
much
they
more. They want
need-
Zumba and whatever those other things are that I don't even understand.
We're also gonna do the multi-purpose room. If you keep growing, that's not gonna be big enough.
Well, we're getting to that point already.
Yeah, and that's
But
why we need a bigger,
the other thing that happened yesterday in this conversation was we were talking about exercise in general, and I said something to her about an intergenerational community center concept, and she said that would be so great for this town. Now she's in her 50s, and she thought, that would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, I don't know. I don't know where to go with it either, and I know, the freestanding, I'm torn. I don't know what's best. I get lost in all of these, what we need and how do we do it and what's the best way to go.
well, that's why we're here
But-
to pull it together.
Well, we hope, at least it's a beginning, and if we even just generate more thinking
Yeah.
amongst us all today,
We have to be on the same
we
track.
need to leave here, if we can, though, I hope, with some kind of a plan, a little bit of a
Okay,
plan, anyway.
what's our next step, Marge?
I'm not
Fine.
sure.
That's what I'm
So,
saying.
it's not my
I mean, we
determination.
have this committee that I think is willing to work.
Well, you know what? I'm also very interested and I'm anxious for Liz to return because she may have some ideas. She's, and,
And I don't know that we should go very much further forward without her being here and being plugged in.
well, I think she has to be plugged in. Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
Yeah, and she's back the 14th. So
Right, it's only, actually, that's the day of our board meeting.
Right.
Oh, no, that's Martin Luther King Day, is it? That's a holiday, so I guess our board meeting,
It's the 19th.
it's the what? Okay, good, because I thought, I had the 14th down for our board meeting, and I remembered it's the
meeting's
day
the
Liz
14th.
returns.
Yeah, because we talked about that. the
But I
last
thought
meeting,
she
we
just
said
said it was,
it
okay.
I was mixed
got
up
it.
on the dates.
All right, I'm okay.
So, okay, thank you for clarifying that, because all of a sudden it just hit me. And so I do think we need to get her, I agree with you, David, she needs to be plugged in, so she might be able to help guide us and make suggestions too, because she has more knowledge. Little,
She's worked in it.
and she's worked in other,
Well, maybe we can put on the table what we're looking at now, which is possibilities. Okay, there is the Space Needs Committee is working diligently, I guess, trying to figure out all the space needs. Okay, there's the library is in a state where we're just waiting for the state to say, here's your money, okay? We don't know, it might be this month, or it may, if they don't do it in January, it might be a little bit later in the spring, which means, everything gets pushed back. So there's that. We need new town offices, or at least more space for town offices. We need a senior center, okay? And there's been talk, just randomly about 3 buildings, okay, being built behind Shattuck Street now, okay, generally speaking. And then what happens with the building at Shattuck Street that exists now, what happens with that? And we're also talking about DCU, okay? And that's a whole lot of pieces, and I don't think it's wise for us to try and pick one right now, just sitting here today. I'd like to have some questions answered. Maybe we could find out about that bond.
Well, Anthony said he's gonna look into that.
Anthony said he would look into that.
Yep.
I would also like to know, and maybe Liz can do it, how many users use the COA?
Oh, well, she has all that data.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
well,
not a
How
good
many-
amount,
how-
though.
How many, as opposed, and a percentage of how many seniors are actually in the town?
We have that information.
Okay.
Actually, it was fascinating to me.
And,
Go ahead and finish.
and then, so trying to figure out if we make it bigger, who will come? You have some that come now. If we make it bigger, will it be just them, or will some
It'll
other
be
people
more
come too?
attractive to people,
Yeah.
you know, that they
So,
would.
but we need to sort of know that.
well,
right?
you wouldn't
And-
even build a senior center if you knew how many come now. We could do it in a closet. But the point is,
Well, no, I guess,
But the
what I'm leading up to is that we wanted to speak, Maureen wanted to have the state representatives, and we speak to them, but we can't just say, hey, come and talk to us, and all sit in the room like seniors who don't know anything, saying, okay, tell us something. We need to be able to present them with something.
David, we have people on our own board who don't come to the senior center. They go to Westford and Acton because it's more attractive and it offers more than we have.
I understand that, okay? But we're just trying to figure out what we're trying to do.
Yes, but the numbers that we would get is not the true number. If you would added the numbers for the seniors that went elsewhere, I have some that even go to Tingsboro and
Well,
Groton.
that's what we need to try and find out. How many people are going elsewhere? How many people are coming here out of how many people there are in town?
I
So
don't know
that
how to
we-
find out.
Well, we can find out, so that we can tell the representatives when they come here, and when we finally invite them. This is how many people want to have one. This is how many people are using it now, and this is how many people are going to different towns.
We could do that with a petition.
Or a survey, or
yeah,
something,
survey.
okay? Find out what the level of interest is, okay? And then hopefully, try and wait and see what Space Needs is doing, okay? And so that we can fold that into,
Well, I update you monthly about the space needs. And, again, the space needs is charged with short-term goals, short-term as well as long-term.
yeah.
So, and I've heard a lot about this being a short-term thing. People would desire that. People would like it to be like fixed with now, I've heard. And then we have, okay, what's realistic for long-term down the road, which is what the complex behind Shattuck Street would be. It's a long-term,
And then,
Yes,
and
solution.
Barbara had mentioned how, I think it was you mentioned that multi-generational centers weren't really working. So I guess it behooves us to decide exactly what it is.
it wasn't my, survey or anything. It was from Boston that
That's what you
told
read
us
there,
this.
Boston, okay.
Personally, I think we need to separate ourselves from all that stuff you were talking about, all the things that people are doing. If we get out of that building, give the town offices all our space and the library space and everything else they need, but they probably have to redo the building. The thing is, if we stick to worrying about what they're going to do and what they're going to do, and if we can be in the middle, we are going to be 10 to 20 years down the road again. I'm very frustrated, and I think that we need to pull apart from all this, find our money, go to the big boys over here, and say,
I'm working on it.
we're over. Oh, wrong thing to say. Oh my God, that really, the smoke is coming out of my ears. But we need to decide as seniors and as the board, whatever, we're going to go do it ourselves.
oh, yeah.
Well, we can, Marge.
You think so? We
I
can come up
know
with
we
$1 million or more?
If we were serious, yes, we could do it, because other people do it, other towns do it. We don't need, oh, it's not gonna happen. Can't do that. You
I
need
agree.
You need to be positive and say, I'm going to do. There might be people out there who were wondering what to donate to, and they think this is a good idea, and they would give us the money. I would like to see.
We need to get the word out then. that-
Full-time
Exactly.
That's the point. The word is the big thing.
Get
Plus
the word
fact-
out.
I'd love to see people
the
match.
bulletin.
If someone gives us $1,000, I'd like to see somebody match that. You know, I mean, and we're not gonna be getting it from the seniors who have to pay their taxes.
No. Hey, listen, I was in the assessor's office yesterday too, so.
But anyway, it's just a personal opinion. I think we need to.
Patty?
Yes,
Um,
sorry, Pat.
Could I make a suggestion? We passed out this proposal that the board had put together on plans. That's new to a lot of people around this table. I'd like to suggest that those who are seeing it for the first time review it and comment on it. They can comment back to me if they like. Delete some, add some, modify, but
You want to share your email address with them?
yes, I can do that.
I want to make a comment. Last function, we had to turn people away because that multi-purpose room isn't big enough. And Jamie Eldridge did come, and I mentioned it to him. So he would be
That's
willing to
good.
come to one of our meetings.
That's good.
So,
Your email
basically
address?
that I'm on, we put this together, so.
Your email address?
M as in Mary, T as in Patty, R as in Richard, F as in Frank, Hunt, at yahoo.com. So if you could get them back to me, you know, within, say, 7 to 10 days.
Right, because we meet
You
next
never
week.
know.
Collate
Shop
them
space is in
and
here.
share them with everybody.
The other thing is that when Liz comes back, I'm assuming that she's going to be very overwhelmed. I know I would be. And I don't know how much time she would be able to spend on this. I would like to still include her, of course. I mean, number one person. But in the meantime, I would like us to at least have some of us go to see the DCU building, see what we come up with, and then have her go revisit it if we agree that this is something we should consider.
Well, I think we should regroup. I mean, we can't just have one meeting and
No.
then waltz away.
No.
We need to regroup.
We need to come together, yeah,
After,
I think so.
there's a revisit to DCU, after we have comments, after we hear from Anthony on the bond, and any other information we get. You know, that's a next step. We just don't waltz away and say, okay, we're done.
I've just got one question about the DCU building. Is there an elevator?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
there is.
Okay, is it handicap, a big one? I mean, a good size?
Yes, it's a handicapped building.
It's ADA?
ADA compliant.
Yes.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause it was
so
a
that you don't
DCU
have to
building.
just
Has to be.
stay to downstairs. You
Right.
can
No.
We will.
have other things going
You
upstairs.
never know.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So you can utilize.
Yeah.
Are there other possible buildings in the town that somebody's looking at that would be also possible to take over as a senior center?
Look that way.
I don't know.
So I can speak for myself personally. I've looked at some other space that's available in town, and the value, I don't think is there, and I don't think there's enough space.
And what?
I don't think there's enough space. And it would be very much in a commercial.
I
it would
just,
be-
Also-
I have no idea whether there's any other place. yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
also DCU is downtown. It's where the
The
seniors.
location is great. And
I
there's
would
a-
ask-
DCU may also be a bank building, and I used to build bank buildings, and bank buildings were built with the first floor holding the second floor up and so forth and so on, and it may not be as feasible to open them up to, for instance, a multi-purpose room as we think it might.
I appreciate that. This is, you know,
We looked at it, and second floor especially, wide open.
Okay.
First
that's
floor
fine.
too.
But that's what I did for a living, so I just haven't been in DCU because that's not my bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
but-
two
but
huge,
these are
huge
things that
rooms
need to be
downstairs
considered.
even.
But the first floor has some wide open space, and the top floor is pretty much all wide open.
Wonderful. That would be a
Which is good.
tremendous help. yeah.
And you could have all your medical
And there's a
stuff.
pretty good sized parking lot. I drove in there, actually.
There's 80 spaces,
80?
80.
not counting where the drive-through ATM used to be.
Right.
So there's the potential to do something out there, whether it's for the vans or
Now, what about the
Drove in there
septic
yesterday,
system?
actually.
Or are we just gonna, no, I mean, seriously.
So I'm scheduled to talk to John McLaughlin, the Realtor, today,
Okay.
after this meeting. Just wanted to, I spoke with him yesterday, and I said, listen, let me attend this meeting, and I think I came into this meeting knowing what I was gonna be coming out of this meeting with, and I just wanted to buy some time and see if I had any other questions.
If I gave you $1 as a deposit, could you have him hold it?
Nancy, he's kind of been holding it for over a year.
Does the DCU have an elevator?
Yes.
Yes.
It does, okay.
Yeah, it's ADA
Yeah, they said
compliant.
it's fully ADA compliant.
So the question of the septic is
But I know they're
very
gonna be
specific.
doing stuff downtown, supposedly.
So that is something that we need to consider, is if, let's just say we fast forward and we decide that we're gonna go to town meeting, we're gonna buy that building. I don't think the septic system as it is right now would accommodate the cafe. Just complete layman's point of view.
Would accommodate the
cafe, for us to put the diner, the
Senior
Okay,
diner.
so
kitchen, a senior kitchen.
They're greater use of something.
I just don't think it would accommodate that. because there are other-
Enter the sewage.
Fill us another one of those.
So that could be a phased approach where it was framed out for a kitchen, but the existing kitchen is continued to be used until such time as sewer
Smart
comes to the
sewers.
common.
Or-
And then we complete.
There was a second thing to do too, we mentioned, and that was having the food brought in, catered, instead of cooked right there till we could use a kitchen there.
Yeah, so there are, again, frame it out so that you can accommodate a big enough crowd to be able to.
You could also buy a septic, one of the septic dealers and let them come in every week.
You could do that.
And it just
So there are options.
Well, that's what
We'll go,
Mike
right,
Mohammed
we'll go
does,
and talk
right?
to Mike and find out
Right.
what his
Yeah.
deal is.
Which
Yeah.
septic company do you use? Maybe we can
Yeah.
get a break in price.
The Friends can afford some porta potties.
But it
Oh, yeah.
sees you, it shows you the kind of things that you get into when you try to do these things, yeah.
There's a lot.
Oh,
I'm
there
certain
is.
there's a lot more Ts and Is that need to be dotted and crossed.
I would
And we
suggest,
also need to consider the occupants that are in there now for 5 years, and what space are they using? Is it
3 years.
downstairs or
As you
up?
look at the building, it's the front, the second floor in the front above where the branch was.
Okay.
So if you were to take the stairs or the elevator up to the second floor, when you come off the elevator, it's everything in front of you. So the bathrooms are directly in front of you, and then behind that, the whole front of the building, which was over the DCU branch. So,
And the whole rest of the building was.
you couldn't even tell, when we were there, did you know that there was anybody else in the building? Nope. There's only a couple of cars in the parking lot, and
No, they don't work every day there. They
a
only
lot of
come
work
in like
remotely.
once in,
That's the
very,
whole back of the
the
building is empty.
Realtor told me
the whole
very
first
few
floor and
hours.
the back.
But he said, you know, there might be a chance that you could find them. There's only a few people working there,
Oh.
so they
Yeah,
could
but
be
if
moved
that's
someplace
just-
else.
they could come
Give
2
them a
hours
Bring
a
them
week.
Shattuck Street, give them a
Occupied
COA.
2 rooms.
Can I make one comment?
Yes.
That's my wrong email. I'll give you my email after we close the microphone.
Okay.
okay.
Oh, this is.
I would like to make a suggestion or a motion that we volunteer, a bunch of us, to go to the DC Union soon, and of course inform Liz and have her go again, but let's get the ball rolling for when she comes back, she won't be going so crazy for what all our needs are. And some members of the Council on Aging and the Friends Board, I would like to see this happen.
I agree.
I agree.
Second the motion.
I'd like to be one of them.
We have a motion on the floor.
I'm
I
sure
have to acknowledge it, sorry.
She seconded.
So, you seconded?
Mm-hmm. Mary, Mary's second.
Mary? Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Of, a mixed group, representatives from both groups going to the.
Just out of technicality, I think it's the board that has to vote, not because they're the ones.
Oh, you're right, you're right. I was gonna just make sure we had the wording. Do you have the wording of the motion?
I'm fine.
Okay.
He's fine.
Okay.
You don't play with him.
I just noticed there are an awful lot of people saying yes.
Well, there were, but they, you know, the people, would you like to have the COA board members just vote?
Yep.
Okay. Board members, please vote.
Could you please read the
motion first?
All right.
I didn't get the
Read the
Okay,
motion,
basically,
Bob.
the motion is to have to appoint a group to go to consider the possible use of the DCU as a senior
To
center.
visit.
Motion seconded?
Yes.
Yes.
Continue, please.
All right.
All in favor?
All the COA board members
Any
who need to vote
discussion?
in favor, please vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not opposed.
Unanimous.
Unanimous vote.
Do you
Thank you,
want the
friends.
friends to vote too?
Do you need to have a vote?
No.
No, all right.
No.
Well, we are
No.
part of the meeting.
We're going anyway.
Yeah, we could have a vote if you need it, and, and I also feel that anybody who wants to go should be
Right.
able to go.
I mean, I don't think it should be
No, it
limited,
shouldn't
but.
be 3 or 4.
So who will be the contact person to organize this?
I can be.
Nancy Levine will be the contact person to work together and try to set up a time to be.
And do we have to talk to Chuck, right?
We have to,
Just,
for me.
I mean, I'll arrange it, just because I've got the dialogue going with
Good.
with John. But if you can't get a hold of me, by all means, please reach out to Diane, because he can always find me.
Oh. Now we know, right?
So, is this something that we would maybe do like in the daytime?
Right now, I can do it in the daytime.
Okay.
If we can, if I called John and asked him if he could be there today at 4:30, I think he'd come up. He wants the town to be there. The current owners think it would be a great thing for the town to be there, so of course they want to
Yeah.
sell the property. But,
An afternoon meeting, I think, would be good.
He also was friendly towards us.
Monday, Tuesday,
he's a
Friday?
good guy. He's a good guy.
Now, I would
Could we
like
do it-
those
could
of
we
you
do
who are
it today?
interested in going.
It's pushing it.
What?
It's Friday afternoon. I wouldn't want him to, he lives in
Right.
Arlington. I wouldn't
Oh,
want him to have to
all
come up here and fight traffic. but-
Meeting, you just said, yeah, sure.
Let's let you get the coordination done.
I would like to, those of you who want to go to this meeting with the DCU to raise your hands.
Why don't we just,
Almost everybody.
We all do.
except Andy, because you've already been there, is that correct?
I've been in the building, but
Oh, okay.
I'm just wondering why
Is it
it's important,
upstairs?
because I think Chuck said he's been there many times,
Yeah.
and he's viewed the building, and
I don't necessarily think I need to be there. I'd
Oh,
like
no,
to be
I'm
there
just
just to
saying
hear
that-
different people's
I think you
input,
got
but-
the information that we're probably looking for, so
So Patty doesn't want to
I'm
go,
not quite sure why we're.
I'd like to see it.
and David doesn't want to go.
I don't think there's a need for
Because some people want to.
See it with an open mind.
Oh, yeah.
It's easy.
I appreciate that input. If
Patty and David,
I
everybody.
thought that it was an inconvenience for him to show us the property, then I'd say, we've been in there a few times, and I can answer any questions you
It's
have.
in a day I'm not working,
Um,
but I'm still
I
working.
think, I don't think you'll have any issues.
Oh, did Andy?
Yep.
I've been too, but I want to see the other part of it.
Yeah, I did too.
I haven't been to the upstairs.
Is there anything else to come before the board?
I don't have the strength.
Excuse me, I was busy.
Is there anything else to
So,
come before the board?
yes, do we have any other discussion? Yeah, Alan McCray, yes.
You were looking like you were wrapping up.
Well, I'm not
Things
sure,
you're
yeah.
talking about is going up to see DCU. But I might suggest that it seems to me in listening that another thing you're all agreed on is that you're looking for a standalone senior center, that
Yes.
that's what your plan is going to be.
Yes.
And if I'm right, you might want to put that down on paper as of today also.
I don't know if you have to all agree at this point that that is the only option.
Well,
I don't know that.
For right now.
I,
Could be, Don's got preference.
I mean, if DCU is, for some reason, something
but
comes up,
that's a
then it would
standalone
not be.
senior center. That's what I'm talking about. DCU would be a standalone senior center.
Correct, I understand that.
Option.
I'm just saying that I don't know that we have to, obligate to that right now. Maybe something else, might come up that would change that, too. I don't know that. So, I'm not.
Well, I mean, at the present time, we are looking at a stand-alone.
Correct.
Stand-alone senior center.
Correct.
With the option that we can change our
Minds.
direction
Right, well, I
at
think
another time.
that's what I think should happen. I don't think it should be a closed thing right now.
No.
So, yes, Diane?
My name is Bruce Street. I am a senior, I'm probably one of the younger seniors, but I am a senior. But one of the things I do want to remind people of is, this is coming before town meeting. People who want this really need to organize and make sure there's enough votes
Yes, I
to
know.
carry it. Right, because we've seen, there's plenty of votes that have come forward for the alumni field.
Stop pointing at me, Diane.
There were plenty of votes that came forward for going forward for the grant. But I didn't see a lot of seniors coming out to either of those voting situations, even though I heard a lot of complaints from seniors that it went through. So I just think that you need to be also thinking about how are you going to get the vote out? You know, if this is going to go forward, now granted, it's a little bit ahead of the game, it's a few months ahead, but, you know, I think it is something to bear in mind and make sure, because, like you're saying, there's only a small number of seniors represented here.
And we don't have our director here either. That's another thing that I really don't want us to lock in on something. She may have some valuable information that we need to consider too. So,
And another thing is
without her, I think it's premature.
If this does go to town warrant, it needs to be put way up at the top. Way up at the top of town meeting,
So
not.
that the seniors can come.
Well, that's down the road.
Not that you guys think that I control that, but.
Well, no, but I mean, we did that for something else, and it really has to be.
I'm 20%.
Because
I mean,
I'm
we
not
all-
staying there all night if they're talking about trucks or something.
No, but when they're putting the warrant together, that's when we need to address that.
That sounds good.
We'll get volunteers to pick them up.
Thank you, sir.
We might, you know, they were looking at having the buses, the vans pick people up at one point.
We've
or
had
something.
vans, we've had that, we've had transportation when it comes to the town meeting in the past, and we can, I'm sure, work it out again.
Yeah,
And
To
it won't-
get, I mean, we're not gonna get seniors out if we don't have transportation for some of them.
that's right.
That would be, see, and Liz needs to be involved in that too, so we need to really, I don't wanna, you know,
Oh, no, of course not. Go
yeah,
ahead.
so.
So we should set another date to meet.
That would be
with
nice,
this, And
decide,
then we can start working on getting our article together.
I was
for
gonna
the town
suggest, can
warrant.
we think about, you know, a standard time that would be helpful, like the second Friday of the month or whatever, I don't know,
Okay.
if that would work.
Second Friday, second.
Oh, I don't care when it is, I'm
Oh,
just
the
saying,
second
let's
Friday
try
It's
to.
the awareness committee.
Right, that's the sub-awareness committee.
All right, that's not a good time, so, but that's, my point was just find a routine time so we know.
First Friday of the month.
First Friday.
First Friday of the month?
Which is
I
what day?
I don't know. What works for people?
Friday is the first.
Friday's the
February-
Thursday.
February 1st is the.
February 1st?
At 1:30.
Where?
Here.
Well, we have to see if the room is available.
It'll be, we'll get the lady to do it.
Oh, boy.
See,
Friday, February
televised.
1st, same time?
1:30.
1:30.
I'm sorry, the whole group is gonna meet again?
Yes,
CUA.
at 1:30, but we don't know where yet for sure. Correct?
Yeah.
So
Kirby
we,
is saying no.
No, I'm just saying this is not the ideal scenario for videotaping this nice party room.
okay, what's a good scenario,
We
103?
can talk afterwards.
Okay, all right.
We'll meet, where, at what time?
The
We
place
don't-
will be determined at 1:30,
What date?
February 1st.
February 1st.
And room, location to be determined.
DVD.
Well, we have a lot of food for thought, that is for
Excellent.
sure.
This was good
And
brainstorming.
yeah, I know, I think,
I know that we're
for
done.
myself, it's nice to
back
be
here,
able to
Sandra.
just share and get it off your
Mhm.
chest. I'm sorry, Chuck, I didn't see your hand.
Is there a date that works best for folks for getting John on board to meet us at DCU? Maybe it's next Tuesday afternoon?
I don't know,
Next Tuesday afternoon.
let's see,
That's fine for me.
Tuesday afternoon.
After exercise.
Tuesday afternoon would be okay.
May I suggest
With dates.
that, Nancy, you get together with Chuck and make a determination as to when you want the group to go over to.
Because I need to know if you all can go.
I just, we don't
Okay.
need to use the board meeting to do that.
No, we need to find a time next week that we can get together, though.
Yeah, I
with-
know,
Okay.
but
Next Tuesday at 1 o'clock, for those of you who said you'd like to go, can you do next Tuesday at 1?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I'll shoot for. Thank you.
so we'll do that, okay, DCU,
What date is that?
the 8th.
It's the 8th.
Couple of meetings tonight.
January 11th.
So where are we meeting?
At
We're
DCU.
just
At the
meeting
DCU.
there at
DCU
1
parking lot.
o'clock, okay.
At 1 o'clock.
All right, now we have to see if the guy will let us go.
Chuck's contacting him.
And Chuck will contact me if he can't make it.
And then you'll contact
Yeah.
all of us, so we should
That's
give you
1
our
o'clock.
email
What's the
addresses?
date?
I have it.
Number
You
8,
have
I'll
my
give it
email
to you.
address?
Tuesday.
From the
Tuesday.
board.
January 8th.
Tuesday, January 8th at 1 PM.
I'm trying to remember what I
You think you have something going that day?
have. I'm not sure, I didn't bring my phone, but
And you don't have it on your calendar.
no.
I have 2 calendars going at once.
Oh, jeez. I'll get to it, using it. Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution, learn how to use the calendar on
It's
my
like,
smartphone.
Okay.
Can I use the GPS now?
I've learned how to use the GPS in my phone. That much I've mastered. All right, is there
Move
anything
we
else?
adjourn.
Moved, it's been moved that we adjourn. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you kindly. Everybody in favor? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? I'd like to thank all of you who came.